Before we start, I need to say this plainly. I used to think my family was just intense, loud, opinionated, the kind of people who hugged too hard and teased too sharp but still meant well. Then a doctor stared at my scans for a long time, looked up at me, and asked a question that didn't feel medical at all. How long has someone been hurting you? It happened the night of my promotion dinner, my first real win in years. A rooftop restaurant in Portland with string lights overhead and warm wind that made everyone feel prettier than real life. My mom insisted on doing a toast. My stepdad ordered champagne. People smiled like we were a normal family, like we didn't have invisible rules about who was allowed to take up space. My sister Sloane arrived late, of course, sweeping in like the party had been waiting for her to press play. She's magnetic in a way that makes people forgive her before she even does anything wrong. She's funny, dramatic, quick with a story. When Sloane is in a room, everyone's attention leans her way without noticing. I'm Mara. I'm the quiet one, the steady one, the easy daughter. The kind of easy that really means I don't make people uncomfortable by having needs. Sloane lifted her glass and said, I have a surprise for my big sister. Everyone laughed because Sloane says everything like it's a bit. She came behind me, placed her hands on my shoulders, and leaned down like she was about to whisper something sweet. I remember thinking, against my better judgment, that maybe she'd grown up a little. Maybe tonight would be one of those rare nights where she didn't need to be cruel to feel powerful. Then she yanked my chair backward. Not a playful tug, not a quick joke pull. A hard, committed jerk that felt planned. My body didn't have time to understand. The chair shot out from under me. My spine went cold. The back of my head slammed into the corner of a planter box behind me, solid wood with metal trim. There was a sound that wasn't exactly a sound, more like the world flicked off and on. My vision flashed and skewed. My stomach dropped like an elevator cable snapped. People screamed. A glass shattered. Someone shouted my name. And through the blur, I saw Sloane's face just for a second. She was smiling. Not an oh no smile, not an awkward smile. Not a nervous, I'm embarrassed smile. A satisfied one. Then her expression changed fast, like she remembered she had an audience. She slapped her hand over her mouth and performed panic like she was auditioning. Oh my God, Mara, I didn't mean, are you okay? People rushed in, crowding around me. Hands hovered. Someone offered napkins. Someone laughed too loudly, the way people do when they want to erase discomfort. It's just Sloane being Sloane. It was an accident. Don't ruin the night. I tasted blood. Something warm slid down into my hairline. My ears rang, and the city lights above us seemed too bright, like they were drilling into my skull. I tried to sit up and the whole rooftop tilted, and I did what I always do. I tried to laugh. Because in my family, pain is only real if it's convenient. And if it's inconvenient, you're expected to swallow it with a smile. The thing is, that chair wasn't the beginning. It was just the first time the injury was too loud to ignore. Sloane and I are 19 months apart, but our roles were assigned early. She was the spark, the star, the mood that dictated the entire household. My mother, Denise, raised us like a stage play, one lead, one supporting role. When Sloane cried, my mother moved mountains. When I cried, my mother handed me a mirror and said, "Look at your face, you're fine. Stop." Sloane learned rules could bend for her. I learned pain made people annoyed. The accidents started small enough that you could argue them into innocence. When I was 9, Sloane tripped and knocked me into a dresser. When I was 13, she grabbed my handlebars and I went off my bike, and she told everyone I couldn't ride straight. When I was 19, I fell on my mom's back steps at Thanksgiving, except I remembered hands at my shoulder blade and the quick push that came right before gravity. If I said anything, my mom used the same spell every time. "Mara, don't do this. You're imagining things. You always make Sloane the villain. She loves you." So I stopped saying things. I left for college, built a career, made a quiet life in a small apartment I paid for myself. Distance helped. Distance gave me room to breathe. But Sloane hates distance. Distance means she can't control the story. She'd text me with fake sweetness. She'd show up uninvited with gifts that came with invisible strings. She'd make jokes in front of people that landed like tiny punches, and when I flinched, everyone acted like I was allergic to humor. So when my chair shot out from under me on that rooftop, part of my brain still tried to protect the family narrative. She didn't mean it. It was a dumb prank. You're being dramatic. I went home early with an ice pack, a bleeding scalp, and a feeling that gravity was slightly wrong. I kept thinking my body would reset if I just slept. But that night I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, nausea rolled through me. My head felt like it had a second heartbeat behind my right ear, thumping hard enough to make my vision pulse. I got up for water and the hallway swayed. I grabbed the wall and laughed under my breath like I could laugh it away. Then I saw blood on my pillowcase. Not a smear enough to matter. I pulled my hair aside in the bathroom and touched the back of my head. My fingers came away sticky. I sat on the bathroom floor with the lights off because the brightness made me sick. My phone was in my hand. I hovered over Mom, and I couldn't do it because I could already hear her. Why are you going to the ER? It's a bruise. You'll make everyone look bad. Don't you start this. So I called an Uber and went alone. The ER at 3 a.m. is its own universe. Fluorescent lights, plastic chairs, people trying not to look afraid. The triage nurse took one look at my pupils and how I shielded my eyes and said, "We're getting you back." A doctor named Dr. Kwon came in, calm and focused, and ran through the checks. Follow his finger, squeeze his hands, smile, tell him the month. I did everything right, but my body still felt wrong, like my brain was floating in my skull. "What happened?" he asked. I hesitated because the truth sounded stupid out loud. "My sister pulled my chair out as a joke," I said. "I hit my head." He didn't laugh. He didn't soften it into sibling stuff. He asked, "Any loss of consciousness?" "I don't know." He nodded once. "We're doing a CT scan." The machine hummed around my head. The room felt cold and clinical, like my life was being translated into pixels. I stared at the ceiling and told myself I was being ridiculous, that this was going to be nothing, that I was wasting everyone's time. Then Dr. Kwon came back with a different face. Not panicked, controlled. The kind of calm that means he's holding something heavy. He sat down and said, "Mara, you have a small skull fracture." My mouth went dry. "What?" "A hairline fracture near the mastoid area," he said. "And you have a concussion. A fracture from a joke." He clicked his pen, then paused, like he was deciding how carefully to enter the next sentence. "There's something else," he said. He turned the monitor slightly. "Do you see this?" I didn't know what I was looking at, just shadows and lines that felt like they belonged to someone else. He pointed. "This rib here, left side, that's an old healed fracture, not from tonight." My stomach dropped because I knew exactly when my left side had hurt so badly I couldn't breathe. 2 years ago, in my mom's kitchen, when Sloane had insisted on showing me a dance move. She shoved me hard into the counter, laughed when I yelped, then brought me an ice pack like she was the hero of the story she'd just caused. I never went to a doctor. I was told it was a bruise. I was told I was being dramatic. Doctor. Kwon's voice stayed even. "Mara, have you had injuries like this before?" My mouth tried to save the script without my permission. "I'm clumsy," I said automatically. He didn't accept it. "I'm asking because this combination, current injury plus older fractures, raises concern for assault," he said. "And I need you to hear me clearly. I'm required to report this." It was like someone turned on a light in a room I didn't know I'd been living in. A police officer came first, gentle and quiet, confirming my name. Then a detective arrived, Detective Alvarez. Mid-40s, calm eyes, a notebook that looked like it had been through too many storms. She sat where she could see my face. "Mara," she said, "I'm not here to accuse you of anything. I'm here to make sure you're safe." Safe, it was such a simple word. And somehow it felt like I'd never been allowed to use it about my own life. She asked questions that sounded neutral but landed like truth. Who was at dinner? Was alcohol involved? Where was your sister standing? Has anything like this happened before? Has anyone discouraged you from seeking medical care? That last one cracked something open. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I just said yes. Her pen stopped. "Who?" she asked. "My mom," I said, and my throat tightened. "My sister, mostly my sister." And right on cue, like the universe wanted to underline the pattern, the door swung open. My mother stormed in wearing her coat like armor, anger leading the way. My stepdad Ray followed behind her looking like he wanted to melt into the wall. "Mara Ali's heart, what are you doing?" My mom snapped. "Why is there police here?" She pointed at the detective like the detective was the problem. "This is a misunderstanding. My daughter exaggerates when she's stressed." There it was, the family script. the one I'd been forced to memorize. Detective Alvarez stood. "Ma'am, you need to step out." "I'm her mother," my mom snapped. "And she's an adult," the detective said. "Step out." My mom's eyes flashed as she turned on me, betrayal twisting her face. "Mara, tell her you fell." I looked at my mother, really looked, and for the first time I saw the cost of her comfort. How much of me she'd traded to keep the illusion of peace. I said quietly, "No." My mother froze, like she'd never heard that word from me in her life. Detective Alvarez said, "Thank you," like she understood how hard one syllable could be. After my mom was removed, the room felt lighter, like someone opened a window. That's when another knock came. My aunt, my mom's older sister, Raina, stepped in looking like she hadn't slept. Her hands were shaking. "Mara," she whispered, "I'm sorry." I blinked at her. "What are you doing here?" "I drove as soon as I heard," she said. Then she looked at the detective. "I have something to say, and I should have said it years ago." Detective Alvarez nodded. "Go ahead." Raina swallowed hard. "When the girls were kids, I saw Sloane push Mara off the porch steps," she said. "Denise said it was an accident." Sloane cried and said she didn't mean it, and everyone moved on. My chest tightened. It felt like the air got thinner. Raina kept going, voice trembling. "And last year, at Grandma June's memorial, Sloane was furious about the will. She thought Mara would get the antique shop because Mara helped June every weekend." My stomach sank. That shop was the only place I ever felt wanted without performing for it. I heard Sloane say on the phone, "If she gets in the way, something will happen." "It always does," Raina said. The room went silent in a way that felt like snow falling. Even Detective Alvarez stopped writing for a second. "Do you remember who she was talking to?" the detective asked. Raina shook her head. "No, but I remember the sentence." Because it scared me. It scared me too, because it sounded like the quiet part said out loud. 2 days later, Detective Alvarez called. I was on my couch with the lights dimmed, concussion symptoms still pulsing. Raina was in my kitchen making tea like she was trying to atone in teaspoons. "We got the restaurant footage," the detective said. My hands went numb. "It wasn't a prank," she said. "She checked behind you first. She positioned her hands." She waited until people were looking at the toast. Then she pulled. I closed my eyes and felt that second again, the flicker of the world turning sideways. "There's more," Detective Alvarez said. "We obtained her phone through a warrant." "Why?" I whispered, even though I already knew. "Because after the incident, she deleted messages and tried to wipe the device," she said. "We recovered notes, dates, entries that match your past injuries." My stomach twisted. "And there's a folder labeled Windows," she continued. "Times you'd likely be alone, times you'd likely visit your mother. Times you'd likely be without witnesses." I couldn't speak. "Mara," Detective Alvarez said, voice softer now, "this wasn't random. This is a pattern. They wanted to arrest Sloane in a controlled setting, not at her job, not in a parking lot. In front of the people who always protected her. In front of the family that had spent years turning my bruises into punchlines. Sunday, my mom insisted on a family brunch to clear the air. I showed up with Raina because I didn't trust my own legs, and because for once I wasn't going to be alone in that house. Sloane was already there, sitting at the table like she owned it, laughing too loudly. When she saw me, her eyes flicked to the side of my head where my hair covered the wound. "Wow," she said. "You really committed to the victim aesthetic, huh?" My mom gave a nervous laugh. Sloane lifted her coffee. "What, we're family." I sat down without speaking. My hands were steady. My heart was. Then the doorbell rang. My mom stood up too fast. "I'll get it." Detective Alvarez stepped inside with 2 officers. The room changed temperature instantly, like someone opened a freezer door. Sloane's smile faltered just for a moment, the way a mask slips when the actor forgets their line. "Sloane Hart," Detective Alvarez said, clear and steady. "You're under arrest for assault and for evidence indicating intent to cause further harm." My mother's face drained of color. "This is insane." She shouted, "This is a mistake." Sloane laughed too loud, too fast, like laughter could rewrite reality. "You've got to be kidding," she said. "Because of a chair, because Princess Mara can't handle a joke." "We have footage," Detective Alvarez replied. "We have medical evidence. We have your notes." For the first time, Sloane looked genuinely scared. Then she did what she always did when she felt cornered. She turned fear into rage. She pointed at me. "You ruin everything," she spat. "You always have." My mom gasped like Sloane had slapped her. Sloane's voice rose, sharp and shaking. "She plays innocent and everyone falls for it. Grandma loved her, not me. The shop was supposed to be mine. I'm the one with personality. She's just a shadow people feel sorry for." The officers moved in closer. Sloane snapped her head toward my mom. "Tell them, Mom, tell them she's lying." My mother opened her mouth, and nothing came out. No script, no automatic defense, no comforting lie, just silence. And in that silence, I realized something so clean it hurt. My mother had never been confused. She had been choosing over and over. She had chosen what was easiest to live with, and it wasn't me. The cuffs clicked. Sloane thrashed. "This isn't over." Detective Alvarez said, calm as a closing door, "It is for you." And then Sloane was escorted out of the house that had protected her for years. The aftermath wasn't cinematic. It was paperwork, statements, waiting rooms, long pauses before phone calls. Healing that didn't move in a straight line. Sloane didn't go to prison in the dramatic way people imagine. She took a plea deal, supervised probation, mandatory counseling, and a protective order. A judge told her she could not contact me directly or indirectly. It wasn't flashy justice, but it was real. It was written down. It was enforceable. My mom didn't call for a while. Then one day she left a voicemail that didn't mention Sloane once. "I started therapy," she said, voice thin. "I thought keeping the peace meant keeping you quiet. I didn't understand what it was costing you." I replayed it twice like I was waiting for the twist. When I finally called her back, she sounded smaller than I'd ever heard her. She said she was sorry, but not in the way people say it when they want a clean ending. More like she was finally looking at the wreckage and realizing her hands had been on the wheel. I didn't forgive her in that moment. I wasn't ready. But I said something true. "I'm done paying for peace." A month later, I went to Grandma June's antique shop. Dusty, closed, quiet in the way I remembered. It smelled like old paper and wood polish, like time stored carefully on shelves. I stood behind the counter where I used to do homework while Grandma hummed to herself, and something loosened in my chest. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want to win. I wanted a life that didn't require me to shrink, so I reopened the shop. Not as a business first, but as a space. A place where people who have been told their pain is too much can sit down and breathe. A place where it was just a joke isn't accepted as a reason to bleed. Because here's what I learned the hard way. Family loyalty isn't obedience. Love isn't denial. And being strong should never mean being silently injured. If you've ever been the person everyone calls dramatic the moment you tell the truth, I believe you. And if you want more real stories like this, you're listening to Epic Reddit Files, where the truth doesn't get edited down to make other people comfortable.